Hello, Up Radio listeners. This is Brant coming at you for another exciting edition of Up Radio on KCT 105.5 and on the internet. Really happy to do this interview today. Very excited about this artist, singer, songwriter, producer, engineer, record label creator, studio creator, you name it. Take a couple hours to go over what the former Kansas frontman and current artist extraordinaire John Elefante has done. But welcome to the show, John. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. You left out father of three.
There you go. Well, you know what?
That's probably more time consuming than anything I've ever done.
I bet. Well, you know, John, just the other day I was checking out one of your songs on YouTube, and it was in regards to your adopted daughter. The story about that, about how she was almost aborted, and a very powerful song. Why don't you tell the audience about that just a little bit?
Well, when I first wrote the song, I didn't have a lyric to it, and I had the melody all mapped out. The song was ready for a vocal, and God just really put it on my heart to tell the story of how your daughter came into the world and how she almost didn't come into the world.
Right.
And I didn't set out to write a quote-unquote pro-life song, even though I'm extremely pro-life. That's a story I'll tell after the story. So I just started writing as I remembered it exactly, from the words of the birth mother before my daughter Sammy was born.
Wow. And
started writing about it, and just like the video shows, she was literally minutes from being aborted, and she got real scared, and she ran out of there and called her mom and told her she was pregnant. Her mom didn't even know she was pregnant.
Wow.
She was hiding it pretty well. But the video came about, and I hope everybody gets a chance to see it. It's called This Time. The reason we did a video to it is because, well, thank God there was a company called Online for Life.
Right.
That deals with this topic that paid for the video.
Right.
That was a miracle in itself. I couldn't get any Christian radio stations to touch that song. No.
Wow.
I guess I have to keep the sponsors happy. So I understand that I've been doing this long enough to know that a lot of Christian stations are not self-supported and they're sponsored by non-Christian sponsors, and you know how that goes.
Right.
They felt it was a little too, they felt like it might ruffle too many feathers, but. So we did the video, which I think was better than releasing it as a single, because the video has can have a shelf life forever.
It stays on the internet forever, man.
And a single on the radio, as you know, even a hit single, has a shelf life of maybe a few months at the most.
John,
so the video is actually a good thing.
It is. It's an excellent video. For those of you who've been following Up Radio on Facebook, you would have already seen John's video called This Time. And very powerful song. John, I still find it amazing, though, that Christian radio stations would not even want to touch a song that's pro-life. It's kind of an indicator, perhaps, of where music is, and... Well,
I think, a lot of even Christians have caved to the opposition.
Wow.
And, I hate to say that, I don't mean that, sound, the sound, mean to anyone, but a lot of times, we cave to the opposition because it's, we don't want to be,
right.
We don't want to be called out as being the haters, so to speak. I mean, how can the pro-life be the haters? I mean, I think we know that the haters are there.
Well, John, your music career is incredible, and you have the authority to speak on the music industry because not only were you appeared in over 100 albums, major label albums, 4-time Grammy winner is what I read today, and then also 10-time Grammy nominations, multiple Dove Awards. But you've also had your own label in Nashville, as well as you created the studio, The Sound Kitchen, that's been recorded at, with Bruce Springsteen and Tim McGraw and Faith Hill and whatever you're going to have to say about the music industry, I take a little more serious because of not only as an artist but on the inside in every conceivable way you've been in the music industry.
I had my first record contract at 13 years old.
Wow. And
I was playing at Disneyland in California when I was 14.
Wow.
And I'm not trying to toot my horn here, but just to reiterate your words, yes, I've been doing this a long time. I love the music business, both secular and Christian, and I've seen it as a producer, I've seen it as an artist, I've seen it as a publisher. I've seen it. I've worn a lot of hats. I've been on every side of the fence.
Yeah, you sure have. You know, one of your major first band with your family called the Brotherhood.
Right.
You know, and man, it's like where to start. You know, where to start, John. You know, we did an interview with John Schlitt recently, and of course he sings with you a lot, and he bragged about you singing all the Kansas songs because you can. You know, I was first introduced, of course, when I heard you with Kansas, but also when you came out with one of your many great songs. That's Why God Made the Moon, I believe is what it was called. And I was just taken away by your voice. And you know, there's a lot of excitement when that album came out. People said, hey, well, don't you know that guy was with Kansas, you know?
Wow, thank you.
But, you know,
that.
Well, it's true. But a lot of these artists, you know, it's safe to say that they really couldn't make it anywhere else but Christian music. I don't mean to be mean, but in the case of you and John Schlitt and other brothers like you, man, you've proved yourself. You've quote unquote made it, is what the world calls it, of course, in the secular industry. That's done really well in the Christian music industry.
I kind of went in reverse order. You know, I had a big, you know, a big time secular gig with Kansas.
Right.
And then when I left Kansas, you know, I went on I won't say I went on a hiatus, but let's just say I got sidetracked into producing for, you know, better than 10 years.
Wow.
And you know, and when I finally started making solo albums, which I was trying to do that whole time, but it seemed like every time it was time for me to do a solo album, there's another, you know, producing opportunity comes up, and all my songs got taken and put on those records. So I was just, you know, I kept writing these songs, and I couldn't wait to make a record, but all the songs were getting scooped up. But I mean, I never made a concerted effort to do. Okay, now I'm going into the Christian market.
Right.
That's my thought process was, now I want to sing about Christ.
Right.
I want to keep everything the same musically, because that's where I'm at.
Right.
You know, it's not the music that's godly or ungodly, even though some people might think so.
Right.
I don't think there's any such thing as music that's ungodly. I mean, music is it's the lyrics.
Right.
That's what sets a Christian song apart from a. Well, it's not Christian.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, John, because it's important what your answer is to me. You know, but in my limited experience, you know, I've noticed that when the world, quote unquote, hears good music, they say, "Hey, good music." But when religious people hear good music, well, how Christian is it? You know, and your friend John Schlitt found himself, you know, he was too secular for the world and yet too religious for the mainstream labels. You know, but at the end of the day, don't you agree that just good music is good music?
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, you know, recently.
I mean, let's you know, just look at I Can Only Imagine by was in the band
Mercy Me.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fabulous song. It was not to be denied. It was just too good. So you know, I think Jars of Clay did the same thing. In fact, this is a funny little story, little side note.
Yeah.
We just sold the house, and the guy that did the inspection, I didn't meet him at first, but when I finally got to meet him when he came back to re-inspect, we got to talking. He said, "I used to play drums with Jars of Clay."
Wow.
Really? And we talked for like an hour, man. And you know, I mean, that music was really it was too good to be denied. I mean, it was
right.
It was very extremely unique. I mean, I thought, especially when that band first hit, they were doing some things that I think the secular world was copying.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, John, in your journey, I mean, people, if you go to johnelefante.com, you're going to see his discography, you're going to see the bio, you're going to see the history. It blew me away. I was already blown away, honestly, no flattery. But when I read that, you know, one of the favorite things that I saw is even when Hollywood was using your music, I'm sure they still are, but St. Elmo's Fire, you know, the song Young and Innocent, I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I listened to that song and I thought, man, I love that guy's voice. And then it just all clicked when I realized it was John Elefante that did that song, you know, for St. Elmo's Fire.
We almost won another Grammy on that record. We got beat out by Beverly Hills Cop.
Wow. Well, you know what? Speaking of beaten out, though, whenever Kansas was looking for their new singer, Sammy Hagar was one of the considerations, I understand. But John Elefante is the one who won that deal. What was that like, being a part of Kansas, John?
Well, it was humongous.
Yeah.
You know, I went from little old Long Beach, California to, you know, singing with one of the biggest bands in the world.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of people ask me that question, Brant, and I mean, honestly, when I look back, when they finally said, okay, you're the singer, I mean, I had so much work to do.
Wow.
I had to learn all the old stuff to sing live. I had to write some songs for the new record that we were in the middle of when I joined.
Right.
I had to just really become involved and become, you know, the singer's the quarterback, you know, and
right.
especially live. And, there was so much I had to do and so much stuff to hold that position that I didn't have time to think about what it was like. I just didn't have time to evaluate it all. It just
Wow.
happened
Wow.
so fast.
Yeah. Well, there came a time when it was time to leave Kansas. Tell us about that.
Well, I felt like when, because I was a believer when I joined Kansas.
Right.
And I loved the direction that Kansas was going, because Kerry Livgren was the kind of songwriter that always asked a lot of questions.
Right.
And when he finally became a believer in 1978, he started answering his own questions.
Wow.
And, it kind of put an exclamation point on his life, so to speak, when he became a believer. And it just so happens that none of the guys in the band knew I was a Christian when they picked me. None of them.
Right.
And when I told Kerry, after they already selected me to be the singer, when I told Kerry that on the phone, it's like the conversation went silent. And
Wow.
I said, Kerry? He goes, I'm just overwhelmed with it. I mean, me and Dave were praying that, God would bring us a believer into the band.
Wow.
He said, I just can't believe it. I'm just, And I don't know that, I think it was mainly the management and the majority of the band that picked me. So it wasn't like Kerry Livgren and Dave Hope were saying, no, we want to believe in the band. I was the guy that got appointed to be there.
Wow.
And it was quite an experience. But you asked me about leading the band. I mean, when Kerry left, I just felt like, I still feel like Kerry, being the songwriter, wrote 99% of the hits that the band had, and
Right.
most of the great music came from Kerry Livgren. And I just felt like when he left, it was probably time for me to go somewhere else.
Wow.
And
talking about going somewhere else, John, I mean, good night. You had to build a studio because you were so busy, traveling and doing that. And then, obviously, around 2010, you wanted to slow down, maybe have a little break. But that didn't seem to work either, because when it's in your blood, John, and you couldn't keep away from doing the very thing you were created to do.
Yeah, I did. I hit burnout at some point around 2010 and I had to take a year and a half or 2 years off.
Wow.
I had just been doing it my whole life, and it was like I just need to take a breath, or I'm not going to be creative anymore. It's just gonna be all forced,
I got you.
And I grew up a lot in those 2 years, and try to come back with a vengeance.
Well, it looks like you did. I actually, on your website, people, again, go to johnelefante.com and check out what he's doing. One of the pictures on there, of course, you're headlining will be with a Striper, somewhere in 2012 on your website. And tell us what all you're doing right now. What all's going on now?
Well, I'm doing a lot of shows.
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of shows with a 60-piece symphony. I'm doing one with Mickey Thomas from Starship next week.
Wow!
And it's a 5-piece rock band behind you, and then behind the band is a 60-piece orchestra.
Oh my God!
And they'll take big Kansas hits and big Starship hits and orchestrate them, and I'll sing a few other classic rock songs too. Like, they asked me which ones I wanted to sing. And I told them, said I'd love to sing "I Want to Know What Love Is," and if you want me to sing a few more classic rock songs, I'd love to do a couple of Boston songs. So
oh man, no kidding! Oh, I'd love to.
I do those, plus a very good portion of Kansas. So I'm doing a lot of that. I'm doing a lot of what we call the formerly of show.
Wow.
And that will consist of some really great musicians. And then it will be myself. It'll be maybe Steve Ajeri, who was with Journey. It might be Lou Gramm. It's usually like Richard Page.
Wow.
From Mr. Mister. So that's what the show will consist of, like 4 featured artists. And most of those shows, I'd say at least 80 or 85% of those shows, which I do a boatload of every year.
Wow.
Are corporate shows.
Right.
Like, I just got back from doing one in Orlando for Experion. And, it was just humongous. There were thousands of people, and that was with Wally Palmer from the Romantics.
Oh, man.
So,
oh, man.
I have met, in my last 3-4 years on the journey, the new journey that God has put me on, right. I've met so many musicians that I idolized as a kid.
Man.
I did a show with Eric Lyson from Rush, Alice Cooper.
Oh, yeah.
It's really Robbie Krieger from The Doors.
Gosh.
like I said, a lot of the formerly of guys,
That's got to be amazing. Got to be absolutely.
And then, I can't leave out, I'm doing a healthy portion of shows with John Schlitt, which I absolutely love doing, which I think they're calling the Voices of Rock.
Yes.
It's basically just that. It's John comes out and does some material, then I come out, and then he comes back, then I come back, and then we do finales together.
Oh, sounds like a blast.
We both use the same band, and people love it.
Well, of course they do, man. Good music's good music. And, the way I look at it is, all good things come from God. So when you hear good music, hey, whether that person realized it or not when they wrote that, or they did, you know what? There's only one place that comes from. And the ultimate musician, the ultimate creator. Greg Griffin of GTG Automation, he's the guy that made history bringing out these Christian bands to the West Texas Permian Basin. The reason that I work with him is because West Texas was among the top 10 of teen pregnancy, teen suicide, teen drug addiction. And so, we've been bringing out Mercy Me and Switchfoot and Casting Crowns, all the biggest names. But again, that set me on a journey, John. I thought, these are great bands and such. But boy, I tell you what, there's some great musicians and writers that have impacted my life that are still impacting thousands and thousands of lives. I want this crowd to hear them. And that's why I was honored to get to interview you, John. You see a lot of things from the inside and the out. And again, man, how can people get their hands on what you're doing, and how can they get behind you?
Well, prayer.
Wow.
For sure, prayer. I mean, I'd like to be doing more Christian venues, but
right.
I think what's happening is they're wanting to hire some of the younger, more popular bands, which I get, but you sound like a pretty young guy, Brent.
I'm 40. I'm 46. I'm 46 years old.
That's young.
That's good. That's good to hear, man.
There's a lot of guys out there, from your age all the way up to 60, man. We're like, classic rock is it. That's all they want to listen to.
Right.
And I mean that's the reason Journey's selling out everywhere. I mean, my friend Kelly Keaggy's in Night Ranger. I mean, those guys they're doing 150 shows a year. Dave Amato is a good friend of mine. He's a guitar player in REO Speedwagon. Who sang most of the Mastodon songs.
Wow.
He's out 160 dates a year. I mean, the classic rock thing it has really just come back with a vengeance.
Well, you know what, John, I want to encourage you. Yes, a lot of these promoters want to bring out, these younger artists, but these kids, including my kids, I got 5 kids, they all know these songs. I grew up in a house, Beatles, Eagles, Elton John, Billy Joel, Bob Seger, you name it, Joe Cocker. I grew up with the best music. Well, now that music, including Kansas and Journey, you name it, they're all being played on their cartoons now because the producers of these cartoons are guys like me. You know what I mean? And
it's
so
true. I mean,
it's exciting.
That's why we're getting booked at all these corporate rock.
Oh man, John. So you want people to pray for you? That's a given. Up listeners, you heard the name John mentioned Mastodon earlier. That was one of his bands. It was actually kind of a harder rock band / metal band maybe, and of course had great success with that as well. So John, besides praying for you, I think that we need to buy your music, or at least one of the purposes of this show, Up Radio, from Hollywood and Nashville to Permian Basin around the world, we bring together movers and shakers for one reason, and that's to celebrate who Jesus is and to celebrate each other. I mean, I got to interview a Christian movie star, last night of a new movie premiering this Friday, and you know what? They're everywhere. We're everywhere, and it's such an honor to connect with people that are making a difference. Your history, John, truly is epic. And people, I encourage you, check out JohnElefante.com. Go to Wikipedia and check out John Elefante. Read his bio. I mean, you keep scrolling down all these songs. Man, you've not only produced great songs and great records, you've sang back up. I even saw one of the songs you played an organ on, And can you remember that? It said back vocals and organ on one of those songs. But John, Yeah.
I remember the name of the song.
You know that I'll go look it up. It'll drive me crazy if I don't. Now, John, we always like to play songs from the people that we interview. So if I were to ask you what your top 2 or 3 songs that you have recorded were, what would those songs be?
From me or from
you?
Gosh, I mean,
That's kind of trying to eat a mountain with a tablespoon. You know what I mean?
different days I have,
Yeah.
I typically don't listen to my own stuff very much.
Right. Well,
I have to say two of my favorites are not this last record, On My Way to the Sun, but there was a record I put out, I think in 2010, that was called Revolution of Mind.
Wow.
And song 4 is called One Day Down by the Lake. It's a 10-minute song.
Wow.
That's probably my favorite.
A 10-minute song.
Right up there with it is another 10-minute song. That one featured Terry Livgren.
Oh, yeah.
And
unbelievable keyboard player.
On my newest record, On My Way to the Sun, was a song called This Is How the Story Goes. It's also a 10-minute song. I had a couple of guys in Kansas play on.
Oh, man.
And it's I don't do them live because they're just too challenging. I mean, it would take 2 keyboard players and 2 guitar players and a lot of background vocals. It would really be a challenge to do live. But I hope someday to pull it off live.
Oh, that would be awesome, John.
Those are probably a few of my favorites.
Now, John, what's the best way for people to book you? If you say you want to do some more Christian venues, I tell you what, a ton of people I know would foam out the mouth to have John Elefante. How do we book John?
I think there's a place I know there's a place on my website where you for booking info and that comes right into my email.
Right.
Which is jelefante@gmail.com.
Awesome.
That sends it right to that, and I look at that every day. So if somebody sends me an email, from my website, I get it and I read them all.
That's wonderful, John. Well, I tell you what, brother, such an honor to talk to you. My brother Brian sends his regards as well. Would love your music, love every era that you've been doing, and excited to see what's next. I understand you're also doing. I've seen some videos and shared some videos with you and John Schlitt and Jay Sekulow playing together.
That's a lot of fun.
Oh man.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet. That's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Because that's like now for something totally different. That's I really like that gig in particular because it's my only job description in that is just singing.
Right.
And usually in the past, I'm always the music director and the guy that's co-writing the songs, and I'm vested so deep, and it's just so much. It's really a lot of work. But this is just, I just show up and sing. I don't have to worry about any of the logistics.
Yeah.
I don't choose the songs. I mean, they do, and I learn them, and I'm fine with that. I'm just kind of a, even though I'm singing lead, I'm just kind of a, in the background kind of guy, and
that's got to be refreshing.
It's like I'm originally a drummer. I mean, I'd love to start a band where I played drums and didn't have to sing at all.
Oh man! Of course, you couldn't get away with it because they'd say, John. Well, you know what, John? We want to know everything that you're doing. I'm going to keep up with you, because we want to keep people updated, And I'm excited about this. Of course, Up Radio listeners, those who are hearing this show right now, you've seen John's face on a billboard all week long. Well, that's because, you know what? We take pride in the people that we interview. We're happy about what they're doing, and very happy about how Jesus shines through their lives, encouraging you to do the same. John Elefante, such an honor to talk to you. And we're going to keep up with you at Up Radio, and we will pray for you, John. God bless you and keep you and make his face shine upon you and give you peace, be gracious to you, and everything that you do, sevenfold success. And again, thank you for being on the show, John Elefante.
Hey, I'm honored, and I really appreciate it. And
you bet.
Appreciate the prayers that are going to come in.
Well, appreciate you. Thank you for being born, brother. you keep going. You keep going. That. All right. God bless you. I'll talk to you later, John. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And this is how the story goes. You must believe it all, my friend, from the beginning to the end. 'Cause everyone lives forever. We just have to choose where, my friend. And this is how the story goes. You must believe it all, my friend, from the beginning to the end. 'Cause everyone lives forever. We just have to choose where. I said, hey brother, is there anything I can do to make you feel better from the pain? They tell us we're all terminal, but I don't believe a thing they say. They're only words, science and technology to help us numb the pain. But far beyond any science, there is one thing that I'm sure of: a virgin had a son, and a stone was rolled away. So how can we be terminal because he lives?